Something's happening at the supervolcano Campi Flegrei, guys. Is the system changing? And there was an interview today with a professor, emeritus professor, former director at the Vesuvius Observatory, one of the key scientists during the 1980s Campi Flegrei volcanic crisis, international recognized volcanologist. So when he speaks, it carries serious weight. And what he said, it's concerning what he said today and what he said about what the INGV is doing with its surveillance. We thought this is the best surveilled volcano in the world, but is it? Are they doing it right? You will hear about this. It'll blow your mind because what is happening right now at Campi Flegrei, the second earthquake swarm in basically 24 hours, and we have one at Vesuvius at the same time. Campi Flegrei and Vesuvius. And these earthquakes are of significant size for a volcano. So you have to really listen carefully what I'm about to say, because I just released a video where the current head of the INGV said, well, we definitely now know that the current volcanic crisis is caused by magma, and not like previously said, oh no, it's just rainwater infiltrating the soil and the rocks and that makes it swell. That's the ground uplift and all that. Nope, it's different. And our professor talks about that as well. And the criticism, that's what blows your mind. So guys, Professor Giuseppe Luongo, that's the interview today. And I was shocked to hear that, or about what he believes is not being done or completely misinterpreted at this dangerous supervolcano with more than 6 million people in the greater Naples area. Because right now, Campi Flegrei is hit by these new earthquake swarms. Look at this right now. The scale of the earthquakes that we're seeing here. Again, let's start with that list, right? Just today, 3.4. But these are only the ones above magnitude 1. If we had the AI interpreting all the seismic waves, we would probably have hundreds, if not thousands of earthquakes. But just today already 2.3, 1.7, 1.1, 3.4, 1.1, and then yesterday 1.6, another 3.3, 2.1, 1.2, 1.1 at Vesuvius. And I've also made a video recently. Is this connected? Is the magma swinging from one volcano to the other, or what is happening there? This is a little bit of a strange, can we still call it, coincidence. And here, I'm not saying Vesuvius and Campi Flegrei are erupting at the same time, but I'm saying, is this a sign that there is magma moving around more than we thought? So back to what's happening. The depth of the earthquakes, very shallow, some even below 1 kilometer, below 0.8 miles, only 900 meters. It's getting shallower. They're clustering, magnitude 3+. And again, guys, for someone that's new to the topic, we're not talking about tectonic earthquakes. These are caused by the volcanic activity. This is a volcanic system under pressure. We have the hydrothermal fluids, we have the gas movement, and possibly magma rising. Is it rising? INGV says we don't have a clear indication of that yet, but magma is definitely causing the bradyseism, the uplift of the land, the swelling of the land, the gas emissions, fumarole temperature that is increasing. So we do have an escalation that we see right now. In the last 2 days, the activity is increasing again. So the latest updates and also the latest bulletin that the INGV has released, seismic activity increasing again. We saw it, just swarms are becoming more frequent. System is reactivating in pulses. Another one. So this is not coming down. They were hoping for this, but it's not happening. This is actually another phase of intensification. And the critical detail is how shallow they are right now. Maybe this is the part that changes everything if they're becoming so shallow. They're extremely shallow. Pressure is moving upwards. That's what it says. Fractures are opening near the surface, closer to the surface. The system is becoming more unstable. And the location of the epicenters is also critical because it's right where the weak zones are. Most of the activity is concentrated in the Solfatara and Pisciarelli area because these are the weakest parts of the caldera. So when pressure is building from below, these areas fracture first. That's why we're saying these areas might be the ones most likely for an eruption. And I talked about phreatic eruption chances in my last video. You should really see that. I'll put it in the end screen. So the depth of the earthquakes, the structure where it's happening, and what's happening below at around 1.5 miles deep down, anything between 0 and 2 kilometers at depth. The rocks are rigid, they store energy, and poof, then they release suddenly. That's what we're seeing, right? The hydrothermal, they're circulating in these shallow layers. So what we're seeing is a combination of fluid movement and rock fracturing. But then the second signal, Vesuvius, the monster volcano. But Vesuvius is not nearly as bad as Campi Flegrei. I want to make that clear too. We have this recorded swarm at Vesuvius, not tectonic either, also volcanic in nature. That means the entire Naples volcanic region is showing activity. So Naples is being squeezed in between both volcanoes, guys. So we have discussions about alert levels. I've talked about it in my last video. They say, well, the next level of alert, orange level, might not be that far away. So they might slowly finally getting towards raising the alert level to orange. That would mean increased concern, closer monitoring, preparation for escalation, and already probably first evacuations from the immediate red zone, Pozzuoli area. So, and since we're speaking about red zone, it was in the news today, Fuorigrotta, which is already in the red zone, has been declared red zone today. But another red zone, that's because of crime. So it's now a crime red zone and a volcanic red zone, right? It's already inside the volcanic red zone, so there's no new danger declaration today. I want to make that clear. But in an eruption scenario, this area would need immediate evacuation. So professor is giving a warning. What is he talking about? That's the core, and that's, in my opinion, where this interview that he gave today changes everything. According to Professor Luongo, the volcanic system at Campi Flegrei follows a clear pattern. Pressures building, earthquakes occur in swarms, then silence. But now the quiet periods are getting shorter. This is what he points out, especially if we look at the last two swarms. I'm always saying, for me, this is one, right? A few hours in between, I think it's still one, right? But what does this mean? That the intervals are getting shorter. That means the system is recharging faster, creating the energy faster, and then releasing it, right? So what he is criticizing, and that's interesting, he's criticizing what is not being done. And this is the most important part. Data is being collected, instruments are being added, but he says there's no clear interpretation. They're releasing the data. This is what we see. He says, but there's no clear interpretation and there's no clear answer. What is driving this? Where does the pressure come from? What phase is the system in of preparation for a potential next volcanic eruption? So I think he directly hits the INGV. He says it clearly. Basically, the monitoring is not enough. And he says, well, let's phrase it this way. He says, monitoring alone is not enough. And we heard other scientists, local INGV scientists say, well, if the INGV tells you we're monitoring the situation and that's why it's safe, it's not safe. Monitoring doesn't mean safety, because they can monitor it and say there's no indication that, and then in the other second, poof, there is. That's a false belief of safety. So he says, and he says it clearly, recording signals means nothing if you don't understand them. Well, let that sink in. He's basically saying they don't understand them. So how can they give the right, I don't want to say answer, the right recommendation for the population safety? You get what I'm saying? If they don't understand what's actually really happening. And the next line that he says is gold, I have to say. It's the big unknown. And in my opinion, the most important point. He says, we don't know if it's fluids or magma. We know the INGV said, well, magma is the driver. But what is underneath? Is it really the fluids, or is magma already present at shallower depth, right? And again, let that sink in, because fluids or magma are two completely different scenarios. And also understand he gave that interview today after the INGV said, yeah, we know the driving force is magma. And they said, well, we don't believe that it's already that high up, that shallow. They think between 6 and 8 kilometers, so roughly about 5 miles. And they say, well, there could be shallower areas because we do have multiple studies that confirm the magma at a depth of 3 to 4 kilometers, right? Around 3 miles. So they said, yeah, that could be smaller magma batches, but they think they will cool down and not reach the surface, right? So like an intrusion. But he criticized, he says the authorities are giving us silence. He says the lack of communication. We've talked about this quite often. Is this because if they say, well, Shizzy might hit the fizzy and we have no idea, or they know something else, real estate development, real estate values, and most importantly, tourism. You don't want to go there if you think you'll blow up with a volcano, right? So right now the authorities are saying, they are clearly saying more earthquake may happen. But what he criticizes, they don't explain why, what scenario are we in, and what is most likely next. They're throwing around, yeah, we could see a phreatic eruption at any time, but we couldn't right now. There's no indication, blah, blah, blah. While we have other scientists that are warning, that want evacuations of the at least red zone, 2 kilometers, 1.5 miles around the potential eruption area. And they work for the INGV as well. Mastro Lorenzo, we heard a lot, right? Giuseppe Di Natale, I've reported about this in the past. So our professor here today, he's not alone with his opinion. And I'll explain, why is this so dangerous if you don't know what phase you are in? And that's his key point. He says, because without interpretation, you cannot predict, you cannot prepare, and you cannot reassure people. This is what he says. And he says, right now, even local leadership lacks clear answers. And the question is, do they not want to say it, or do they not know? Both is bad, right? So what's the full picture right now? Let's put this together. If you look at everything together right now, increasing swarms, extremely shallow earthquakes, shorter quiet periods, pressure building underground, activity at Campi Flegrei and Vesuvius, alert level discussions. Are we going to orange? They said they're going to orange back in end of 2023. They said if we see another magnitude 4. Well, since then we had 2 magnitude 4.6 and other magnitude 4s. They haven't done it. Okay, uncertainty about where is the magma? Where are the fluids? Which is what? Where is it? And the lack of interpretation, the lack of communication. This is not random, what's happening here. We have to be clear about this. This is a system under stress. So the real question is now, in my opinion, it's not just what is happening right now. We see it, right? But why is it still not clearly understood? Because right now, beneath Naples, the earthquakes are getting shallower, the system seems to be accelerating, and even experts are raising the concerns about how this is being handled. He's not saying it'll blow up tomorrow, but he's saying you can also not exclude that because you don't know. What is the status quo? It's the same thing. If you're sick, someone shows symptoms, you're giving medication to treat the symptoms, but you have no idea what exactly is causing these symptoms. You have a problem because you don't know, is that person dying? Is that person getting worse? You don't know. You don't know what is causing this. And that's a little bit the problem here right now. I'll stay on this for you. Listen to what the new head of the INGV just said a few days ago. Videos here in the end screen, guys. I see you there, and thanks for supporting this channel. Please like and hype. Click the link in the description if you want to fill me up with coffee to get me going, and thank you for your supers. You're awesome, guys. And click the join button for behind the scene videos, what I'm doing in my private life, and you support the channel that way. So thanks for everyone who's doing this, and yeah, we have to wait and see, I guess. Thank you.